Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Lomiko Metals channel. We're sitting here once again with Paul. We wanted to talk about some interesting recent events going on around the world and how those impact the modern industry. Paul, how are you doing?
Good, Michael. How are you?
Doing pretty wonderful. So let's kick off by talking about this Biden's proposed plan to increase the infrastructure spending by $6 trillion, which is not a small amount of money, but as you had said off camera, something that is probably much needed and almost everybody will agree on. So, Paul, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think this is something that has been pending for a long time. People in the Democratic Party and the Republican Party have been fighting over who gets money for these types of infrastructure programs. I think Biden has basically said, okay, well, everybody is going to get money because everyone needs it. So this is about replacing bridges, roads, railroads, all kinds of different things, and all of that will be a huge boon to commodity prices all over the place, including copper and steel and aluminum and all of that, and roll that in with graphite as well, because he also announced recently a big project to create a bunch of EV charging stations across America, 500,000 stations, and that's going to be big for all the materials that are going to be used. So I think we have a long road ahead of us if this goes through, of just burgeoning commodity prices.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes along with it if we're going to be improving infrastructure and modernizing infrastructure, which is a big part of it because I mean, both the US, Canada, pretty much all of the Western world, we've been really falling behind in terms of keeping up with modernizing things. Average house like people are living in is usually decades old at this point, if not older. A lot of the old steel buildings and such are in disrepair. We need to build new ones. You can see this in almost any large city, especially around where I live, because I live in Ohio. We got the Rust Belt, which is essentially a lot of old manufacturing factories that are in disrepair. And we really got to modernize a lot of this stuff from travel to just housing, pretty much all of it.
Yeah, and it's something that every society goes through. I mean, there's levels of development. They reach their peak. You're part of the modern world. You're at the cutting edge, and then all of a sudden it sits there for a while. In a while, the next little while, it goes on, and then pretty soon all of that spending that you've done starts to deteriorate. Needs maintenance. Needs upkeep, and then sometimes it needs to be redone, and you need a lot of capital to go in to do it. And this is a case in point. For instance, if you looked at India, for instance, they never got a phone system or an energy system that was implemented throughout the 2000s and all of that, and 1900s even. They never had that. So what happened in the later stages of the 19th, 20th century is that they skipped over all of the, putting all the copper in the ground, putting all the, infrastructure in place, all that. Now they're going to, well, we're going to create mobile towers and communicate using that Wi-Fi.
Mhm.
And then the next thing you have to look at is that, well, now they're going to go to solar energy instead of creating big grid systems. So imagine the trillions of dollars they've saved in doing that. But that's just a benefit of advanced technology, and I think that's a fantastic situation, right? And so now it's our turn. Maybe we have to do 3D printing. Maybe we have to do additive manufacturing. There's a number of things that can go on there.
Yeah, and I think it's a little off topic, but India is a great spot to invest in, and you're seeing a lot of people entering the Indian market because it's growing so fast. You're getting new consumers joining the World Wide Web, and yeah, it's just a booming market in India right now, and it is time for us to catch up. And with us catching up, we'll see the rising supply and demand issues of steel. We've already seen lumber through and through because of COVID and other issues, and but yeah, steel, copper, even graphite to some degree. We're going to see this apply across pretty much every commodity that helps with building a civilization up.
Yeah, I think what you're looking at here is, there's 300 million Americans that are middle class, I'd say, or about middle class. Well, there's 300 million Indians that are middle class that are going to consume just as much as all of those Americans do, and they're hungry for the products that are part of the modern society. China's already there. They've really caught up in the last little bit, and they're buying those modern products. They need all of the materials. The e-bikes, e-scooters, electric vehicles are a big rage in China. That's going to come here. And China spent a lot on infrastructure as well. Well, India needs to do that, and America needs to do that. Imagine what that's going to do to the commodity prices. We've already seen steel prices rise quite a bit in the last little bit, and even a new company is going IPO, Algoma Steel. So we've seen, the indications that there's going to be a big boom in commodity prices. So, if you're in some of these projects and that are early stage or developing, they're really going to be fast forwarded. Just like we feel that we've got a good opportunity going forward with Lomiko as the electric vehicles start becoming more and more popular. We're going to need all the materials for those electric vehicles. So this is not just a isolated situation. This is a big economic effect, and we have to pay attention.
Yeah, it is a big economic effect, and it's a positive sum game, right? Like spending money on infrastructure, pretty much everybody wins. Of course, at least dilution of capital and everything, but there's really no better way to spend your money in terms of improved roads, improved buildings, improved energy efficiency, improved travel, increased jobs for people working into the steel industry and graphite industry and lumber industry. Pretty much it's a win across the board.
Yeah, and we're creating more sustainable development as well.
True.
And I think that's very key to what's going on. We're not just burning down trees or cutting down trees to create new houses. We're thinking of new ways, perhaps using renewables like hemp, hemp
Absolutely.
bricks.
Yeah.
Hemp bricks are an amazing way to build a house. There's other things that come to mind in that regard. So you really have to take a step back and take a good look at where the economy is going. Why is the president of the United States and the Democrat Party trying to put all this money on the floor? Is it because they just want to win the next election? Well, maybe, but most likely it's because it's needed.
Yeah.
You needed to protect America and to protect its competitiveness in attracting business and attracting capital. You've got to have infrastructure in place. You have to have ports. I've been a big advocate of building ports,
Mhm.
building methods in which to distribute goods and services are crucial. Highways,
Yeah.
absolutely necessary to railways to take the materials out of the nether regions of Quebec or Ontario or wherever they are, or America, and bring them into places where they can be processed and converted. So I think we have a really interesting next 10 years. I think we're going to see the electric vehicle revolution go ahead as planned, and even more and more. I mean, we might see George Jetson jetting by in some way or fashion in the next little while. You never know.
Yeah, yeah, it's really interesting when you go back and you study the ideals of people viewing the future from the 50s through like the 80s. People had pretty optimistic views, and then the 90s hit and people started having more bleak views of what the future was like, and kind of hoping we head back to the more optimistic here and we stay on the right track. And I think when it comes to like hemp housing and stuff, we can look to Europe for a lot of that. They're significantly further ahead with the hemp style housing and hempcrete and things like that. And so it's time that the Western world just kind of looks around a little bit and says, okay, how can we do things better than what we have been?
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's what it comes down to is that we're no longer. I think the place of North America or even America as the cutting edge location of all the technologies is being challenged by China right now. And if we don't respond to that, which is what I think this program is all about, whether it be developing infrastructure or developing electric vehicles. If we don't respond to that, we're certainly going to lose out in the long run for because the ideas, the capital, the innovation is going to go elsewhere, and we don't want to be in that situation. We've got to reinvigorate the economy here in North America, and I think that there is some green shoots that are happening. I think we need to see a lot more of it.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, green energy, getting there as soon as possible is a good move, and there's plenty of companies involved with that. Lomiko is a really good one too. I mean, graphite is going to play an integral role in heading towards a more modernized energy usage. I mean, they've been talking about it for a long time. Lithium and such that goes into batteries, it's not really renewable. You know what I mean? Like we only have so much lithium, and improving the technology is a big part of that. So big fan of graphite. And Paul, is there anything else you want to add before we end this one?
No, I think we're on the right track. We just need to make sure people are aware of this commodities boom. We've seen gold go up, we've seen copper go up. I think graphite's going to follow, and then as that happens, a lot of these graphite companies will also respond. So stay tuned. This is going to be fun.
Agreed. Well, Paul, thank you for joining. Thank you everyone for watching. Do you have any questions? Don't be afraid to send them over to us and stay tuned for more. Paul, thank you for joining.
Thanks, Mike.